From Egyptian tombs to jungle ruins and to European cities, there's very few places our adventurer hasn't visited yet while in pursuit of her most wanted relics and artifacts. Some of these locations are just mediocre, but most of them are unforgettable. So, I have reviewed all the stamps on Lara's passport to bring you the 5 best locations that Lara Croft ever visited. Number 5. Angkor Wat, Cambodia. I decided to open up this list with Angkor Wat for multiple reasons. To start with, it is the first level on the series that provides you with a little bit of Lara's backstory and of course introduces you to the iconic Verne van Croy. But also because Angkor Wat itself, it's a beautiful and sprawly location that offers a complex set of puzzles, traps and obstacles for Lara to overcome. It is the classic Tomb Raider level that introduces the game's core features while remaining tough enough, and that's a pretty nice touch for returning players like myself. But what I really love here is that the developers did an amazing job of capturing everything that makes the Cambodian jungle unique. Considering that core design only had a year to develop this game, it is really unbelievable how the Cambodian architecture is so well represented in the game's temple. Number 4. Yamatai, the Devil's Triangle. Yamatai is a lost kingdom of ancient Japan that was ruled by the Sun Queen Himiko. Himiko herself allegedly wielded great powers that makes her control the weather, which ultimately defines Yamatai as one of the richest and one of the most brutal settings in the entire series. And that's, in my opinion, what makes it so memorable. Every time that Lara or someone else tries to leave the island, somehow a nature disaster would happen which would make the escape impossible. While this is a story that the developers could easily come up with, it was not the case. Yamatai is believed to have existed in Japan during the Yayoi period. Its location is still a mystery to this day, but the most believed locations is either northern Kyushu or Yamato province in the Kinki region of central Honshu. Japan's own version of Atlantis has been referenced throughout the years on various shapes and forms, but Tomb Raider 2013 sure took a deeper approach by making the whole game around this story. Number 3. The Great Wall. The Great Wall is the first level of my favorite Tomb Raider game, and this time Lara sets off on her search for the Dagger of Xian. The whole Chinese set in this level is pretty amazing, starting with the loading screen, the opening cutscene, and then the in-game presentation. This 13-mile wonder of the world construction lasted over 2,300 years across 9 dynasties. So it doesn't really surprise me if when exploring one of these 2,000 fortifications, some of them might end up being like the Temple of Qian. Even if nothing magical like this awaits you there, the Great Wall is one of the most impressive architectural feats in history, and it's pretty cool seeing so well represented on the 1997 video game. If you love this level as much as I do, please check Nico Bass's remake and you'll see how beautiful the Great Wall can really be on today's generation console. Number 2. Siberia. Tomb Raider is a series associated with hot climes such as the desert and leafy jungles, but the cold climate occasionally makes an appearance, and when they do, it's more than welcome. Rise of the Tomb Raider brought us this landscape of snowing mountains, harsh winds, and avalanches all over it, and while in my opinion it overstays its welcome a little bit too much, its beautiful snowy tundras and glaciers were a welcome change back in 2015, presenting Lara with the new but familiar challenges that kept the game feeling like a classic Tomb Raider game. Add in plenty of gameplay options from ziplining during an avalanche to sneaking through the cold scrubs, and you have the making of a superb Tomb Raider location. This list was really hard to put together. There are so many locations worth talking about that I couldn't end this video without at least mentioning a few of them. So before jumping into my number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. And finally, my number 1, Venice, Tomb Raider 2. Lara's trip to Venice in 1997 was the first level set in the modern city, and it blew my mind. It was a really nice unexpected change of scenario back in the day, where you travel to a place full of history, but also to a place where actual normal people live. I remember seeing the wet clothes hanging outside the village's windows above the canal and thinking, whoa, I really want to meet whoever is living up there. That actually didn't happen, of course, but just the thought of being in one of those buildings was amazing. I spent so many hours driving that boat from one side of the canal to another, just because I wanted to relax and go for a boat trip in my mind. You know, Tomb Raider 2 was probably the first game that I ever played, so it was really special back then. Even though I was having a really good time incorporating a tourist, Lara was not here to wander the promenade or visit St. Mark's Basilica. Instead, she has to take down a mob boss called Marco Bartoli and try not to get eaten by the gangsters' dogs. Talk about killing the holiday buzz? Lara does get a chance to race down the canals in her speedboat, in a sequence that feels like it's been taken from an action movie with a soundtrack that, in my opinion, it is the best that the series has to offer. And with that being said, Redders, I want to hear from you. Please let me know your favorite locations down on the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and until our next adventure.